Okay. So what's the best food? What's your favorite dish in this from this cuisine?
Crawfish.
Yeah, anything seafood wise, for sure.
Homemade gumbo. Homemade gumbo is our big thing. Homemade gumbo.
All right, so here's a big question: would you rather see New Orleans grow and change, or stay the same?
Stay the same.
Stay the same.
That's when it grows. It's gonna change. You don't need it to change. You gotta stay the same.
There is no place like home like New Orleans.
No place. We gotta keep our Mardi Gras. We gotta keep our second lines. We gotta keep our Indians. We gotta keep all those things that's unique to New Orleans. It can't change. That's our culture.
But we welcome anybody and everybody to come and fellowship with us.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you, ladies. I wanted to ask you, nice big smile there. What is the best thing about New Orleans?
The food.
Answered that pretty quickly. What's your favorite New Orleans dish?
I just had one last night on Bourbon Street at Nola Po' Boy on Bourbon. You ever come to New Orleans, go to Nola Po' Boy on Bourbon Street. It's in the 500 block of Bourbon Street.
But I thought the French Quarter is where you're supposed to avoid.
No. That's not true. You just got to know how to maneuver.
Right.
And I had a gumbo po' boy.
So that sounds like a very wet po' boy.
You hit it right on the nose. It was kind of wet.
All right. I'll see if I can impress you anymore. Was it a roux-based gumbo or an okra-based gumbo?
It was actually an okra gumbo. So it was a roux.
That's a bit controversial.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite thing about the city of New Orleans?
Tradition.
What makes New Orleans different? So I've noticed that the city has a real sense of identity. What do you think makes New Orleans different from, let's say, Houston or Atlanta or some of the other cities around?
So, in addition to culture, we have tradition that nobody else has, right? And it makes us different from other places in Louisiana.
Yeah, New Orleans is not the same as Cajun country, is it?
Not at all.
Right.
New Orleans is New Orleans all of itself. Like, we call ourselves the great state of New Orleans, not the state of Louisiana.
Okay.
So, we are all our own, right? We have our own tradition, our own culture, our own everything. And that's what makes us different from anywhere else in this country.
So I've also read, to make sure you're frame, I've also read that the population of New Orleans has remained very stable or possibly even declined over the decades. Like, it's not a growing city like Las Vegas or even Houston. It's stayed very stable. Would you rather see New Orleans grow like other American cities, or are you happy to have it stay more or less the size that it is?
So that's probably wrong. Since Katrina, our city's landscape has grown, but it's grown by gentrification, because what our landscape used to look like, it doesn't look like anymore. A lot.
Does that mean like some wealthier people from out of town have moved in?
Yes. And so what our landscape used to look like, it doesn't look like anymore. And a lot of people that traditionally and historically have lived in the city for generations can no longer afford to live in the city, unfortunately. So they've been forced out of the city, and now demographics that are not native New Orleanians are moving into our city.
It's interesting because one of the things I've noticed is that compared to some other American cities, New Orleans really feels like it has an identity.
It does.
So I hope it doesn't get lost, right?
So it will never get lost, because we fight hard to keep our identity. As much as the people that are moving in are trying to change things that are native to us, it'll never get lost, because we have a strong hold. We have a strong footing. Natives have a strong footing in our city, so it'll never really get lost. But it's a struggle, and it's a battle, and it's a constant battle.
That's a tradition. People sticking to the core of the actual tradition of the city.
Is New Orleans one of those cities where traditionally every neighborhood had its own kind of identity? Like the different, talk about the wards, or talk about Garden District, talk about different areas, had different identity, each has its unique identity?
Yes. Every area had its unique identity.
Right.
So you knew what area was what.
Right.
In most areas, to go a little deeper, they have the feel like this is our own city. Like, this area is not just a neighborhood, it's a city.
I guess in Mardi Gras, the crews represent different parts of town too, right? And maybe that's one of the ways people. No? Okay, all right.
No, Mardi Gras is for the city. It's always been for the city. The Mardi Gras crews are really based on finances.
Oh, okay.
Honestly,
Yeah. Everything's commercial.
Finances.
Yeah.
It's commercial. It's based on economy. It's based on it within the neighborhoods is based on neighborhoods.
Yeah.
But the traditional Mardi Gras is based on finances and economy.
Okay, and why are you wearing a Miami Dolphins shirt?
Well, no.
I'm only kidding.
This is actually my godbrother's jersey.
Okay.
Boo Williams, who played for the Saints.
Really? It's a real, genuine plant? Can I touch it?
Yeah, it's a real jersey.
Really? It's so clean.
That's a real jersey.
So how does New Orleans, being a relatively small city, support an NFL team?
Win, lose, or draw, we love our Saints. That's all I can say on that. We love our Saints.
Who dat?
Yeah, who that? We love
All
our
right.
Saints.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. What's your name?
Natalie Taste.
And what do you do for a living?
I am a founder and social media influencer in New Orleans.
So are you from New Orleans?
Born and raised.
Okay, I have a couple questions about New Orleans. Number one, what is your favorite thing about New Orleans? I'll give you three.
My favorite 3 things about New Orleans is the people, first and foremost. There's nothing like our people here. I think just the community in a sense of like the proximity to everything. Everyone's close, you know everybody. So it's just a feel-good place. And third is the spice. Like the spice of women that we have here.
Right.
Like,
Nola Sassy, right?
yes, it's Nola. We're spicy. We're very spicy, sassy. So
Okay.
that might be the people, but it's the women for sure.
And you like the New Orleans food?
I love the New Orleans food.
Who can? If I have only one meal that I can have here, let's say it's my last meal before death sentence, what's it going to be? What do I have to have? What's your recommendation?
You're going to have Miss Linda Jacquemin. Good luck finding it. It's going to be like on the corner somewhere, like usually like Washington, like on the streets. But Miss Linda, the Jacquemin lady, have her dish.
Very good. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
We are at Gus's Fried Chicken. I have already sampled Gus's Fried Chicken and it's awesome. Now I'd like to ask you 2 questions for the great people of Switzerland. The first one is, what makes Gus's Chicken the best?
We make our chicken with love.
That's a great answer. And the next question is, are you from New Orleans? Are you from around New Orleans?
My family is.
All right, then I'd like to know what makes New Orleans a great city.
The people, the culture, everything about New Orleans is New Orleans.
Your colleague said the food also.
Listen, it's always going to be about the food, the culture, the people is what makes this town great. Me not being from here, I noticed that the people will rally together to keep the community together.
And we feel like you have a real sense of identity here in New Orleans compared to some other cities.
That is facts. Like I said, I'm not from here, and I will say that 100% wholeheartedly. The people from here love it here. They rally for here, and it's a great community to be a part of.
All right, here for Gus's in New
I
Orleans.
am here for Gus's and New Orleans. Go Gus! Number 1 in the world.
I'd like to ask, are you from New Orleans? Where are you from?
I'm from New Orleans.
Okay, and you, sir?
Same here, from New Orleans.
All right, we're visitors from overseas, as I said, and I'd like to know, what is the best thing about New Orleans in y'all's opinion?
What you said? What is the best thing about?
What's the best thing about New Orleans in y'all's opinion?
Ooh, I can only pick one.
Okay.
One. Okay, I will say the color, right? And I'm explaining that. The color. That means the food, the people, the music, the architecture, all of the things, and it just makes a beautiful mixture.
An explosion. Do you have a favorite thing about New Orleans?
I got to kind of piggyback off of that, but I think it's more focused toward the people because we're the ones that make the culture. So the Southern hospitality, the laid back, the laissez bon temps roulé, all those vibes is what.
Les bon temps roulés.
Yeah.
I think we feel like this city has more identity than a lot of other cities in the country of the U.S., right?
Yeah, absolutely. I was actually in Nashville. No slight to Nashville. I was in Nashville.
You can slide Nashville if you want.
I was there actually yesterday, and my Uber driver talked about his visit to New Orleans, and he compared it to the rest of the world that he travels to, and he said everywhere he goes, he has to wake up and wonder. Well, he wakes up and he thinks, okay, I could be anywhere, right? But when he wakes up in New Orleans, he knows he's in New Orleans.
All right, here's a tough question for you. Now, we've read in the statistics that the New Orleans population has stayed very stable or possibly even declined.
All right.
Are you in favor of the city growing or staying as it is?
Oh, good question. I like growth. I like growth. I think if we're growing in the right direction and we're making sure that all of the people, natives and those that choose to become New Orleanians, if we're making sure that everybody gets a fair piece and there's equity, I think that I'm all for growth.
A lot of other cities in the U.S., you're there, Houston, San Francisco, you feel like half the people you meet, they're not really from there. But in New Orleans, it seems like it's very local, the people here are from here. So, okay, and what is your reason for coming to the national, not international, maybe hopefully soon the international,
Soon.
the National Fried Chicken
It's
Festival?
not too far from the house.
Yeah.
Who doesn't love chicken, of course? Chicken is the best. The music.
Okay.
I'm a musician, so I got friends
All right.
playing everywhere. So
Now, what kind of music?
all kinds, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, let's say I only had one day. Let's say it's my last meal of my life, and I'm going to spend it in New Orleans. I can only try one New Orleans specialty.
All right.
What's it going to be?
It's gotta be gumbo, but it can't be restaurant gumbo.
Okay.
You've got to get with a local and have their mom or grandmother
Is this
fix you some gumbo.
roux or okra based?
This is roux. Roux with seafood and all the things. It is that's gotta be your last meal.
All right. You have a different one?
Nope. Get the gumbo. That's it.
All right. Thank you guys for your time. Enjoy it.
You're
See
welcome.
you.